Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Thursday night, and it's Uncle's Throwback Thursdays. Glad you're here with me tonight. Got a really good guest on tonight. Grammy-winning banjo player Charlie Cushman is going to be on tonight, and you'll enjoy our talk. I've known Charlie a lot of years, and that guy can play the banjo. So anyway, we're going to have Charlie on tonight. I always like to show you something going on here, something of interest. And this tonight, it's my son Matt got me this. I'll have it on my wall pretty soon. But you folks, you folks know how I'm into the space stuff. In fact, if you look right over my shoulder there above Bill Monroe, my wife Lisa got me that a canvas of Buzz Aldrin on the moon. It's actually Neil Armstrong took Buzz's picture, and a lot of people always thought that was Neil Armstrong, but that's Buzz Aldrin there on the moon. But anyway, glad to have you here tonight. As I mentioned, Charlie Cushman from the Earles of Leicester will be here, calling in here shortly. Uh, Always kind of bring up things of interest for the day, and today it's kind of funny. I always have these Steve Gully moments going down the road and stuff. And there is a pizza restaurant here in town that used to be a muffler shop. And me and Steve used to joke all the time about that, about the place that said you could go in there and eat and get your oil changed or whatever while you're eating. We always just thought that would crack us up. So anyway, I passed that place today and immediately thought about uh, thought about Steve. I mean, one of the things he said is, we go in there and get a pepperoni and get a muffler put on at the same time and watch him do it. And I just run into things all the time that remind me of that guy. I really miss him, and I know the world of bluegrass misses him, and he's going to be a bigger void once we get back over after this corona and start playing live shows again. So, want to mention with the All Stars, Steve played with us, and Gina Britt is the new banjo player, our bass player with us. She plays banjo with Sister Sadie, but she will be playing bass with us. Great singer, great person, known her a long time. Howdy there, George Campbell and Robbie Garner out of Alabama. Glad to have you here with us tonight. And I got to quit saying so much. I always catch myself and keep doing that. So got to remember that a little bit. Be sure and hit down at the bottom if you're on our page, like our show. Just write a comment or write like it. It kind of helps with a lot of stuff. Helps me get bigger guests in here, and that's something that's going to be a regular thing with me is getting great guests in. And I had J.D. Crow last week, and Charlie Cushman will be here tonight. And I hope I've got my audio problems fixed. I mean, hard to it's hard to test without actually being live on air. So anyway, we'll scroll down here to see who all's checking us in tonight. Hello, Bryn Westwood and Randy Greer. Can't hear me? You guys can hear me, can't you? Can you hear? Hello, Doug. Can you guys hear me? Someone said they couldn't. So just want to make sure you can because I am talking. Let me boost some volume here a little bit. Hopefully that's better now. I can hear myself better. I hate hearing myself, but I have to do that to get out to you guys. Okay, I think we're good. Who can you? Let's see. Let's go read these. Who can you get bigger than Charlie Cushman? I don't know that, Gary. He's about as big as they come. Volume's low. I'm gonna get it up there. I'm gonna crank it a little bit. How's that? Is that better? Is that better? Okay. I hope that is. I just need to crank it up, and I need to crank up Charlie's mic when he calls too. So a lot of people's in tonight. My buddy Doug Klein. Doug is a great drummer, good friend of mine, and let's see, a lot of people. Hey, there's David Kelly out there. Mary Travis saying it's much better. It's a microphone deal with me. It's what it is, and I could take it down and do an Elvis and hold it, but I don't want to do that. Hope that's better. I'll scoot a little closer. I know that's better because I can hear myself. So anyway, I hope everybody's had a good week, and glad y'all are here. We can take a break from all the election talk and everything. We've all been stressed here for the last couple weeks with everything, and we just need sometimes to come up for air and get a break because politics and all that stuff's important, but don't let it control your life. I would rather sit down and have my dobro playing along with something I'm listening to. So I would rather do that any day much more than sit and fuss with somebody about politics. So we're not going to do that here. But coming IBM time, we might do a little politics, try to get some votes and stuff. But I've mentioned before I'm working on a new dobro record that is actually not mine. It's something I'm producing, but I'm part of it. It's going to be called The All Stars of Rezo, and we got about 23 players on there right now. Some of the biggest names in the Rezo field is going to be on this record, so I'm real proud of it. I'm getting very close to having the details done, and it's doing good, getting some good stuff. I want to go over here a little bit and say hello, Jerry Vincent Parker and Ray Collette, and a buddy of mine I went to high school with. I think we went to high school together. I wasn't there a whole lot. I took administrative leave, usually 4 days a week. So Betty Edmondson Barry, good friend of mine, on, and another good friend, Bud Armstrong. Glad to see you, Bud. You better not leave tonight like I expect you will. You probably have something come up, but I'm gonna keep up with you. Make sure you don't leave on us. Just a lot. We got a lot of people tonight. Robbie Garner, Kimberly Ann Clamola. Yeah, usually have Bluegrass Channel on cable on most of the day. Regular TV's garbage to me. Thanks for the music. Well, tonight we're not going to really have much music. It's going to be more about talking with Charlie and a lot of stuff like that. But Charlie's done a lot of stuff. Still can't hear me, George? I'm gonna have to get a clip on or something. I got my mic cranked pretty hard right now, so I don't know if I can do any more than that. I hope Charlie's loud enough. But anyway, let's see what else we got over here rolling down. Just got a lot of people on tonight, and we had a good crowd last week for J.D. Crowe, and I'm gonna have J.D. Crowe back again. I see what's wrong with my microphone. I just need to pull it down a little bit. Watch me break it. Be my luck. Let's see. I think that's got to be some better. Anyway, J.D. Crowe had such a good time. I think we're going to have him on again. We just started scraping the top of the ice with him. He's got a lot of good stories, and I've heard a lot of them. So anyway, we're gonna get him back on here before too long. Right now it seems like I'm on a banjo player run. I mean, with Crow last week, Charlie Cushman this week, and I've got a couple of banjo players I'm looking at for next week, and I may break that up a little bit. I may bring a mandolin player or something in. So we'll see what happens, but I'm just glad you guys come over and tune us in. Okay. I'm going to have to quit reading the notes on the side because some people say they can hear and some people say they can't. So anyway, what was I getting into? Oh yeah. I don't know how many of you guys are on here that are pickers and stuff, but over in the comments, I know a lot of you, but write what you play sometimes and who you'd like to see on the program. I can I can get a lot of people on. There's a few that would be hard. I'm not going to be able to get Steve Martin on, but I can get a lot of the great banjo players, mandolin players, dobro players, and all that stuff while they're out there. So anyway, um, had a note here. Oh yeah, sorry, sorry about this. I can't read my own writing sometimes. I need to start writing bigger. I keep my notes down here below and everything. But anyway, before Charlie comes on here tonight, I hope that all you guys will, you know, try to hang out for the whole show because Charlie's got some good stuff to talk about, and he's just he's a really brilliant guy. He used to work at Gibson Banjos, setting up banjos down there. He was the main setup guy, and now he's out on his own doing this a lot. And like I said, he plays with the Earles of Leicester, which right now, nobody's playing because of this corona. But if you've seen the Earles of Leicester, you know Charlie Cushman. And anyway, Charlie, as I mentioned earlier, he's a Grammy winner. And the Earls won a Grammy back, let me see, oh, 2014, I think was when they won that. But we're going to talk a little bit more to Charlie about, I think he went out to the Grammys. And I had a nomination one time with J.D. Crowe, and had another one with Deland Bradley. And I didn't go to either one of the nomination things. The one with J.D. Crowe was in Los Angeles, and I could have kicked myself 100 times for not going because that opportunity doesn't always come up again. But we were nominated, but Charlie won the Grammy in 14. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Charlie also likes to talk about. He and I have something that we do that kind of in common. That we both are into old floor model radios, and I've got a couple of Zenith radios and a bunch of cabinet type radios, the small ones. I have the Zenith. These were like from the 30s and 40s, and Charlie's into that. Except Charlie, I guess he's making a lot more money with the Earls of Leicester than I'm making doing Thursday night throwbacks. But Charlie gets these and he gets them all fixed, and totally repaired where they look brand new. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. You have to get away from the music a little and talk about hobbies. And I will talk to Charlie about how he got started and how he got the job with the Earls. I mean, I know it was off of his banjo playing definitely, but I'm curious myself about some of this stuff. So anyway, that's a few things we'll talk to him about. And if you guys have any questions you want me to ask Charlie, all you got to do is write them over here in the comments where they'll come up. And sometimes the board moves quick and I'll miss it. So I hope I will. Let's see. Tom Richardson, I'm a banjo player, but I love hearing the stories about the time with the legends of bluegrass. That's really good because I do too. And when I get to talk to guys like Charlie, it's really good for me to do that because I learn a lot. And let me flip my screen just a little bit. I want to get the camera a little bit more straight. I learn a lot in all these interviews, and like last week, I had mentioned I worked with J.D. Crowe for 11 years with the New South when we came back a year and did the flashback band with him. That's Charlie. But I still learned stuff about Crowe. So let me see if gosh, we've got to pray we'll come through the sound system this time. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, Phil, what's going on?
Oh, buddy, waiting for you, man. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good, buddy. I just got to see if everybody can hear you because I've messed around with stuff again here. And somebody send me a comment and let me know if you can hear Charlie. Charlie, say a little something here.
Hey, good evening, Phil, from beautiful downtown Cottontown, Tennessee, 37048.
Heck yeah. Can you guys hear Charlie? Somebody send me a note. Well, we're gonna assume you can because nobody said they can't hear you. So anyway, buddy, glad to have you on the show tonight, Charlie. And hey, your level's great. That's what we need. That's what we need. Good deal. It says ask Charlie about his vintage Gibson banjo display that they saw in one of his videos. We'll do that. Uh, First of all, I'm just glad to have you on tonight, Charlie. A lot of people out waiting to hear from you, and I just want to. I mean, I've known you. I think I met you. I met you in about '88 or something like that or so, and I'm wanting to think I either met you at Steve Thomas's house or the Bell Cove or somewhere like that. It may be a little later than '88, but I met you a long time back. I know, and I don't know if I'm right on those dates or not. But it's been a long time back on that.
Yeah, it sure has, Phil. I don't remember myself exactly, but I do appreciate you asking me to come on your show tonight, and always look forward to visiting with you if it's over the phone or in the studio or out on the festival grounds or wherever. It's always great to see you.
You too, buddy. We always have fun, and a lot of folks don't realize. I mean, you guys with Earles of Leicester, when you're up on stage, you're doing what you do and into it. But we've all got this other side of musicians. I guess the 23 hours that we don't pick. That it's like a family thing with all of us, and it's always been with you. I mean, you always been like family to me, and I appreciate that.
Well, same here, Phil, and we have a lot of common interests. Out of the music
we
scene too. We
we
both
do.
like old vintage pre-war radios, and we like old instruments.
We
and,
do. I,
and the old traditional style bluegrass.
exactly. I was just telling people before you called in about that you're into all the radios and you have some really nice ones, and we'll get into that and talk about the radios here in a little bit because there may be some other folks out there that collect those and want to know a little bit more about it. But anyway, I want to ask you about some of your early years. Now, you're born in Clarksville, is that right, Tennessee?
Yeah, Clarksville, Tennessee.
That's what I thought. Now, what age did you start playing banjo, Charlie?
Well, I got interested in the banjo and its sound and everything about at age 4.
Wow.
I grew up about 40 miles north of Nashville, and so in the early 60s, 63, 64, when I was 3, 4 years old, I saw Flat and Scruggs television show on WSM TV, and heard Earl Scruggs playing that banjo, and I knew it was something that I liked a whole lot, and expressed to my parents and my grandparents that I'd like to do that someday, but I had to do that for 3 or 4 years before banjo actually made it to the house. But
Yeah.
but I started taking lessons in Clarksville at age 7, and took lessons from a really fine musician guy named Billy Bryant, who was an excellent guitar player, and he could play several songs on the banjo in the Scruggs style. And we actually started in the Mel Bay book that was called Fun with the Banjo, and I started out playing with a flat pick.
Wow.
And playing nursery rhymes, London Bridge, such as that. Just very elementary stuff. And anyway, I told him that I'd like to do the Three Finger book of Mel Bay's, and so we got that. And of course, the music store had all that stuff in stock, and we grabbed that book and started learning out of it, and went through that book within the next few months. And the whole time I was not taking lessons. I was at home trying to figure it out myself, and come in one week with my dad, and I had a little portable record player with me, and I brought it into the store, and I had a Flat and Scruggs record on there that I had tried to learn from, and I played it for my teacher. It was the 65 version of Foggy Mountain Breakdown, which is a great version. It's a little more sedate than the original, but played along with the record as best I could. Again, had learned it on my own, and my teacher said, "Well, I can't give you any more lessons." He said, "I can't take your dad's money anymore." He said, "You can do that. You can learn how to play the rest of it by yourself." So that's my earliest beginnings of attempting to play.
You know, my dobro teacher wasn't a dobro player, and he took me on. And what he would do he would come in about 30 minutes before I did and learn something and then teach it to me. So he stayed about 30 minutes ahead of me on playing week to week. So anyway, I understand. And my first book too was one called Fun with the Dobro, Mel Bay. I still have it. And you know, I think about everybody that learned bluegrass instruments probably had one of those Mel Bay books. They were really good. And
they were. Yes, they were.
They were. But when you got started, what was some of the first bands you were in? I mean, I'm sure you were in some local bands to start with and stuff like that.
Yes, that's true. Well, I met a guy at the music store that I was taking lessons at, and this guy was a local fella. He was quite a bit older than me, but he was a really good guitar player and acoustic guitar player, and he had a brand new D18 Martin, and we started jamming there in the store, and kept our eyes open for some of the events that were happening around Middle Tennessee that we could possibly go to, like contests and anyway, the first one we went to was down in Dixon, Tennessee, called Old Timers Day, which they still have, which is tractors and wheat thrashers and ladies in gunny sack dresses churning butter and that type of a event. And we went down there, and was that first time I went down there that I saw Kenny Ingram on stage playing with a local group down there. And besides Earl Scruggs, Kenny was the first guy that I ever saw up close playing a banjo in person.
Wow.
And of course I had a great friendship with Kenny all those years, and we lost him about a year ago. The big loss to the banjo world, of course.
Oh yeah, sure.
But anyway, after that, we found another event down in Waverly, Tennessee, that was held on the public square, and me and this buddy of mine were picking under a shade tree and just jamming, me and him and a couple other guys, and one of the bands who was that day come by and heard us and liked what we did and invited us to play with their band. And long story short, that turned into being invited to play with this country band down in Waverly, Tennessee, and they played a weekly radio show from the American Legion Hall. And so by the time I was 9 years old, I was playing on the radio every week, and you know, I had some lucky breaks there, I guess.
Yeah, man. Well, you had a great start on everything, and plus, you know, it's kind of like this. I mean, when I first started, there was just, you could count the dobro players out on the circuit on one hand, pretty much, and around home there was none. And I know, you know, what you're talking about. You know, there was, in the 70s, there were a flood of people, you know, that I guess fell in love with the banjo after the movie Deliverance, but you know, a lot of them, you know, didn't keep it up. But now it's like every instrument the people now just can go to YouTube and learn how to play, and some of these kids are so incredible that go on YouTube and learn all this stuff, and they learn. It seemed like they learn more in 3 or 4 months than we were able to take in a good while, and which I'm glad, just like you, that we came up the times that we did.
Right. These younger generation musicians, younger than us, who do have YouTube and computer software that slows the classic stuff down, or anything down, which are both great learning tools.
Sure.
They learn faster, they learn more thoroughly, and they can play those videos 1,000,000 times if they want to. It's free, which really gives everybody a chance. And then you take some of these players from that generation, and now they've got 10 or 15 years under their belts as pro players, and look how great they are.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
It's just amazing.
It is. It's a flood of musicians right now, and especially with the pandemic, so many people are sitting around spending time learning and stuff. And I guess I'm opposite. I spend all my time wrapped up in a blanket and watching TV. I need to do something more, I guess. But anyway, let me ask you about doing banjo setup. Now, you were at Gibson for a while.
I worked with Gibson for 2 years. I was called in because they were having some technical problems with their banjos and the specs, and we got all that straightened out really quick. And I worked with them for 2 years as their setup guy, and I learned in the process. I learned how to build banjos and fit necks and kind of hone my setup skills along the way.
Right.
And anyway, started building my own business while working for Gibson, because people were hearing that you could take your banjo to Gibson and get it set up. And so I did work with them 2 years, and it was an honor to be a part of that team down there. After that, I went to work in George Gruen's repair shop for 2 years.
Wow.
And continued learning and getting my name out there, so to say.
Right.
And due to economics, while working at Gruen's, gasoline hit $5 a gallon, and my wife and I just bought a new car, and it was not feasible for me to continue driving 60 miles a day to work for George's repair shop. So I moved all my stuff home, and then things really took off.
Sure.
And so I now have a really good business that I do out of my home, and I meet people from all over the world,
right.
And people send me instruments from all over the world, and it's a great thing to be able to work at home.
Oh yeah, be able to jump up in your pajamas and go do some work and not have to get in the car is pretty good sometimes, isn't it? I have a friend that is a local newscaster, and I've been on his show a few times, and it was funny in the summertime to go down, and all the news anchors would have on a jacket and a tie, and then have on a pair of golf shorts and tennis shoes, because you couldn't see them from the waist down. And I guess a lot of them, when they were getting done, they would just get rid of the jacket and probably go golf or something like that. But it is good to be able to do your business at home, and you're one of the best setup guys in the whole world, I know, because all the banjo players I know always talk about taking their banjos to you to get them worked on. So
I appreciate that, Phil, and I appreciate all my friends and my customers,
sure.
and it's been a tremendous blessing to be able to do what I like to do.
Sure.
I'm as passionate about banjo setup as I am about playing. So,
right.
folks have been mighty nice to us.
Well, buddy, speaking about playing now, you work with the Earles of Leicester.
Who is that?
I saw him one time, but the guy didn't look like you. He had on a little hat and a string tie, so I don't.
Well, some people have to put on funny clothes to make a living, you know.
Well, how's that going? I guess the pandemic, you guys haven't played in a while, but maybe you have. I don't know.
No, we the last show that we did was last year in 2020, Valentine's Day weekend, February 14th and 15th.
Wow.
Of 2020 was the last time we were on stage together. This pandemic went into effect around the 10th or 15th of March last year, and our group has for years has played some of the bigger national festivals.
Sure.
And those festivals that we were booked on for last year, they did not postpone them. They canceled them.
Right.
Due to the uncertainty of this whole thing.
Sure.
And so anyway, we've not been on stage since February of last year, and we're hoping that we're going to be back on stage somewhere a few times, for 21. But
sure.
Again, I haven't heard anything, so I don't think anybody is able to make a solid playing schedule right now that I've heard of.
Well, see, I do the talent buying up at Bean Blossom, Indiana, at the Bill Monroe Music Park, and we scheduled our June festival, which that's a lot of work because you do contracts on everybody, and we run 8 days, so 5 bands a day. You got 40 bands, 40 contracts, and all that. Well, we did all that and then had to cancel, and then we decided to do a mega festival, do 8 out in the fall, put Uncle Pen and that together, so we booked 40 more bands, or I booked 40, and have to cancel again. And plus, with my own band, we were booked there, so it's just hard times right now. But I'm hoping it'll get better when maybe this corona virus lifts a little bit and people are able to get their vaccinations. And I know I'm ready to get one because I'm such a high risk with all my health issues. So I'll be in line. I don't know when they'll get me in. They may roll a casket in there and say, hey, this guy here needed his shot and you guys were 2 months late. So I hope that's not the case. But anyway, let me talk to you about a few other things. Let's talk to you about the highway, the Tennessee Music Highway. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I know that they did some good things for you here recently.
Yeah, we were honored by the state of Tennessee with their Department of Tourism that began a program last year called the Tennessee Music Highways. And what that's all about is to increase and promote foot traffic and back roads traffic through some of the smaller towns in Tennessee, not so much in Nashville, but in surrounding areas. Of course, the Memphis area, the Knoxville area. It's a statewide program.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is they researched and found some musicians from different cities in Tennessee and profiled them as candidates for doing a tribute or signage on the roads, mainly in foot traffic areas. They tell me to give the tourist a bit of history in different cities, featuring different musicians that and venues also that could entertain these tourists that come into Tennessee, and they say, "Oh my goodness, look, Jimi Hendrix bought his first
Mm-hmm.
guitar here,
Mm-hmm.
or this theater, I'm
Sure.
speaking in particular of my hometown of Clarksville, Tennessee,
Right.
which Jimi Hendrix is believed to have bought his first guitar at the same
Wow.
music store that I took my lessons
Mm-hmm.
from.
Were you at Hughley's? Is that where you went?
No, it was a music store called Collins Music.
Okay.
Collins Music Store. Hughley's was actually in Nashville.
Okay. We had a Hughley's here too. That's why I
Yeah,
wondered. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Hughley's was had several satellite stores back
Right.
in the '60s and '70s.
Sure. Sure.
But anyway, this program initiated by the state of Tennessee Department of Tourism uh, features. Uh, well, I can tell you a couple of other guys they featured. They did a placard for Jamie Daly. They did one for Mike Snyder. They did one for me. They did one for the old movie theater that I used to attend when I was a boy
Mm-hmm.
in Clarksville, the Roxy Theater. So anyway, it was just a great honor for the state to recognize me and some of the stuff that I've done and put up a marker and for all to read about. And they erected the marker just a few feet away from where the music store used to be that I started at.
That
So
is cool. Really
so
cool.
they did their research and really dialed this thing in to be accurate. And of course, they had a ceremony for me down there in Clarksville,
Wow.
and my mother and dad, my wife, lots of family members, grandchildren, uh, mother and daddy-in-law, brother-in-law. We had a lot of people from the family,
That's great.
our immediate family that came down to witness that, along with some folks I went to high school with, and it was just a beautiful day.
That's awesome. That's so good they were able to do that for you. And they did that in Clarksville, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
That's really cool. Congratulations on that. I had read that
Well,
on the
thank you.
internet. I keep up with you and
Well,
know when you're doing something. I kind of like Santa Claus. I keep an eye on you to see what happens.
well, I'll try to do better.
Oh, yeah, you always do. Let's talk about this. You know, one thing bluegrass musicians really can't talk about because it's such a rare thing is winning a Grammy. And you won one in 2014 with the Earles of Leicester. And did you guys went out to the show and everything like that?
We did. Yeah. We flew out to L.A. For the ceremony. My wife went with me, and some of the wives of
Hmm.
the other guys in the band
Right.
went. We just kind of had a big uh, family get together out there. Unfortunately, I stopped at a hamburger joint in the Nashville airport, and by the time I got to Los Angeles, I was
Sick.
green. I was very sick
Mm,
and spent a little bit of time in the bed, but I recovered enough to make the awards ceremony, and surprisingly enough, we got the Grammy for best bluegrass
mhm.
album of that year.
That Grammy's the best nausea medicine there is, isn't it?
Well,
When you get that.
you have your different levels of achievements. You have your doctorate,
Hmm.
and then you have your four-star generals and everything like that in other occupations. But
True.
but for the musician, the Grammy
Tops.
is all of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and more, I guess you'd say.
Oh, when I played with JD in 1995, we got a nomination for album Flashback, and which we
Yeah.
didn't win that year. But I didn't go out, and I could have kicked myself 1,000 times for not going out, to LA for all that because Grammy nominations and then wilder than that, a winning a Grammy is something that just don't come around every year. And if I ever get the chance again, I'm going out for that. But congratulations to you, Charlie, on that. I mean, that's a huge thing for bluegrass players or any genre of music to win a Grammy. So
It really is, Phil, and I'm still getting used to the idea,
mhm.
and it was a very high honor, and you know, I'm very tickled about it because I was awarded this for doing something that I really love to do,
Mhm.
as far as the style of banjo that I play,
Sure.
and I work with a bunch of great guys,
Mhm.
dear friends, and good guys to travel with, and we are anxious to get together and get back out and play
Sure.
for the folks again, as soon as we can.
Sure. Well, tell me when you were at the Grammys, name me two of the biggest artists that you saw, kind of close or in distance. Who were two of the biggest? That's a hard one.
Oh no, Phil, that's easy. No, my wife and I were sitting in the stands, pretty close to the performing stage, and
Mm-hmm.
and we were, I don't know, we were probably 40, 50 feet away from uh, Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga
Wow.
and Paul McCartney. I don't know if it gets any bigger or
That's
better than that.
that's
But
that's the top.
that's an easy question.
That's the top right there, the heap. So I hope you guys. I hope that you get to go out there again. Get you another one.
Well,
And
it would be a surprise, but of course it'd be an honor too.
yeah, well, you deserve it, you guys. A lot of folks that haven't seen the Earls of Leicester, they put on an incredible show, and you need to get out and see them. And Charlie, I've got some people asking some questions over here.
Okay.
A guy named Jim Durbin knows you. He said, "Tell Charlie the clock guy said hello." You know Jim, I'm sure.
Let me tell you what, Jim Durbin is an amazing watchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
He fixed a clock of mine. He fixed a 1906 sessions regulator clock for me
Mm-hmm.
about a year ago. That's in my music room that I see every day.
Mm-hmm.
And although the clock was made in 1906, it is very, very accurate, and just about as accurate as my cell phone.
See, that's
Uh,
that's awesome. You need to hook me
he
up with him because I've probably got 10 old clocks dating back to 18. I think one is 1865, same year Lincoln was assassinated, and it's a. I want to think it's an Ingram, but I'm not sure. But I've got a lot of the mantle clocks, if it's got the columns and stuff on them,
oh sure,
and
yeah.
stuff. I've got a lot of those, and then uh, I have probably 5 cuckoo clocks, and I had to turn them all off because they were going off at once on the hour, and it's driving us crazy. So my wife made me move all my clocks out to the den. So a lot of them were. I found a bunch of them that's back under my train set. I didn't know I'd forgot about, but I need to get them out because I love clocks too.
Well,
So.
I do too. And if you ever have any issues uh, with the way your clock runs or
Mm-hmm.
performs, Jim Durbin.
Is
Uh,
the
I've,
man.
I've used a lot of clockmakers in the past, but Jim Durbin is the best I've ever seen.
Where's he located?
He's just recently moved over to Greenville, Kentucky.
Hmm.
He was located in Owensboro, Kentucky for a
Okay.
long time,
Okay.
and has just recently moved to Greenville. And Jim, if you're listening, I got a couple of clocks, man. When you get ready, I'll bring them to you.
Oh, see, Jim, I got you some business by having Charlie on the show tonight, so that worked out. You owe me a commission, Jim, when he brings them in.
That's right.
I won't.
He'll take care of you. He's a veteran. He's a fine man.
Oh,
I
that's
guarantee
awesome.
you.
Glad to have him in. Let me read some others too. You had Kimberly Ann Clamola said that she saw the Earls of Leicester in Connecticut, and you guys did an excellent show. So you guys probably been up there a few times. But now I got a buddy of mine named Bud Armstrong that's on here, and Bud he used to be the Knox County law director. He may still be. I'm not sure. I didn't vote.
I know Bud. I sure do.
Yeah,
I know
from
Bud Armstrong.
Banjo Fawn. Yeah.
That's right.
I was going to joke and say I didn't vote for him, but I always vote for Bud. He's one of the good guys. But he wanted me to ask you a little bit about Mike Snyder.
Yeah. Yeah. What would he like to know? I wonder.
Let me read. He wants to know what size of underwear he wears. If you could tell him that.
Well, you'd have to ask.
No, he didn't write that.
You'd have to ask Sweetie about that. I don't know that.
Oh yeah. He's just wanting to know if you have a good Mike Snyder story.
Oh yeah, but we don't have time for that, man.
Yeah.
I worked with Mike. Had the pleasure of working with Mike for 14 years on the road and at the Grand Ole Opry and recording with him and Mike Snyder is a prince. I tell you, he's a great guy. I've got millions of stories that I can tell about him, and they're all good.
Oh yeah, he's a fine guy. Well, we always get to hang out with him at Banjo Thon, and I know they're not. Banjo Thon, I guess, would have been this past weekend, but I'm looking forward, hopefully, this next year that we can all get together and do Banjo Thon, because I'm not a banjo player, but I sure enjoy going down there and seeing all the banjo playing guys, and now it's mandolins and guitars and everything, and it's kind of homecoming, to go there. But I have another one for you. You know this guy really well. He's blood connected to one of your members in the band, Gary Tullock.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Gary said if you have time, ask him about how the Earls were assembled and how the group worked out the arrangements and stage act. I know that's probably a lot of stuff there, but why don't you just tell us kind of how you guys were assembled, who called who, and stuff like that?
Well, my good friend Johnny Warren, who of course is the son of the late Paul Warren, who was a Foggy Mountain Boy for 20 years with Lester and Earl, and later with Lester Flatt. Johnny and I started back around 2000. We started doing tribute albums to his dad because his dad knew these many hundreds of maybe thousands of fiddle tunes, and Johnny wanted to do one tribute album to his dad, and he wanted Earl Scruggs on it, and he wanted one of the Graves guys, which was at that time, of course, Uncle Josh wasn't around, but we got Tim Graves on it, we got Curly Seckler on it, and Johnny told me, he said, I want a Scruggs, a Warren, a Seckler, and a Graves on this record. And so we pulled that off. We asked those guys, and they graciously agreed to do the sessions with us. So anyway, that was our first tribute to his dad, and then it got such a great response that we decided to do a second tribute record, and we did that, and it got good response. And then Johnny and I started doing our own partners on our own solo project together. And one of the tunes that we cut was Randy Lynn Ragg, the great banjo tune that Earl Scruggs did and wrote. And there was only one guy that we knew of that could accurately reproduce Uncle Josh's classic dobro break on that, and that was Jerry Douglas. And so we brought Jerry in. Of course, he played on a few more on that session too, but we brought Jerry in, and we already had the tracks made, and all Jerry had to do was come in and lay down his part. And so he laid down his part on that and several other tunes. And when he got finished, he was packing his dobro up, and he said to me and Johnny, he said, I just realized something. He said, we got the Flat and Scruggs sound here, the dobro, the banjo, and the fiddle. What do you guys think about maybe putting a group together and going out and playing this stuff for some people and see if we can have some fun with it?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Johnny and I agreed. And said, yeah, we're ready anytime. And so anyway, we started thinking about other people to help. And Sean Camp was brought in, and then Jerry at that time was still working with Allison Krause, and Barry Bales was playing bass with Allison and Jerry. And so we brought Barry Bales in, and we got together for a run through or a rehearsal just to see how it would sound. And just we were kind of amazed that we could play as close to the spirit of Lester and Earl and the Foggies that we did, because we all cut our teeth learning how to play our instruments by listening to them. Sure. And it took off from there, and that was the spring of 2013. So that was 8 years ago, and we've enjoyed every minute of it.
You guys, all the guys in the band are just the right ones. In Sean Camp, you couldn't have got a better one than him. I met when I first moved to Nashville. I was before I moved, about 2 weeks before. I went to a jam session at Mike Scott's house, which everybody knows Mike. And anyway, we jammed there, and Sean Camp showed up, and he was playing fiddle. And I think he may have been auditioning for a fiddle job with Mike. He had just came in from Arkansas and hadn't been here very long. But, I didn't know, I'd never heard him sing till later on when he started doing some of his country stuff. And man, with you guys, he's just the perfect front man.
Well, we seem to think so too, and it's really really good to sit back and watch him work, and of course all the other guys too. But sometimes he gets into a Lester Flat thing,
Mm-hmm.
and of course he's one of the best singers, period.
Yeah.
In any genre. But he's of course he has his own music too. But he can wear the clothes of Johnny Cash or Lester Flat or Roger Miller or pretty much anybody you could name.
Oh yeah, he's just so talented. But Sean's such a nice guy too, and it's just everybody in your all's band is just a perfect match. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was talking. I was thinking Paul Warren, but I was also thinking Jake Tulloch when I saw Gary up there. That's why I said a connection. I don't know what I was thinking, but Gary's Jake Tulloch's I think his uncle maybe. Jake was Gary's uncle. I think.
Jake Tulloch is Gary's dad.
Oh, okay. I did. That's right. I knew that now. I knew that.
Gary and his brother Dean are Jake's two sons, and anytime the Earles play locally, the Nashville area or surrounding areas, Gary comes out to see us and always supports us.
Right.
And always has a new story for us. And we ask him lots of questions, and he's always glad to answer them or try to answer them, because it's been so long ago. But he's told us some tremendous Flat and Scruggs stories through the years.
I bet he had them there in his living room. Then I'd say some probably picking or rehearsing, or just being around him when he was a kid. That's got to be pretty cool right there. And
well, yeah, Gary actually attended a few recording sessions at Columbia with Lester and Earl.
Wow.
And his dad.
That's awesome. I knew now that you said that. I was kind of in a brain fog. I knew that he was Jake's son, and I don't know how that slipped my mind, but it's getting getting older and getting chemotherapy. That'll do a lot of it to you. But
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, bud, it's been good having you on the show tonight. Let me see if there's any questions over here that we need to get. People that's asked something.
Well, sure enjoyed being with you, Phil.
Buddy, you
Glad,
too. You too.
glad to answer any more questions that you have.
Yeah, let me look here. Said, okay, Neil Lawson wants to know if you can tell him what your favorite banjo is to pick, or that you have. That's a hard one.
Man, that's like asking which one of your kids you like the best.
Oh, well, that's true. I understand.
But I guess that's a pretty easy answer. I've got a 29 Gibson Granada, original flathead Granada, just like Earl Scruggs's.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is my go-to banjo when I'm doing the Earles of Leicester shows. However, it's a very delicate instrument. I don't really fly with it, but
Sure.
I take it on the bus, and it's basically my go-to banjo for the Scruggs sound, you know. But I have I've been an instrument collector for a lot of years, and I've got a banjo for every day of the week, just about.
Well, that's awful good to have that many, because you just never know when when you might have to sell a few to get a tank of gas. It's just you never know.
I got some firewood if I need it.
Oh yeah, burn that first.
Exactly.
Neil, let's see. Let me get a couple others here. Oh yeah, Bud Armstrong again. Now Bud, that's two. If you do another one, we're gonna charge you. But we're gonna let you through. He wanted to know if you've seen Sonny Osborne lately and how he's doing.
I don't know anything about Sonny these days. It's been quite a while since I've seen him.
Sure.
I know he does a blog online that's called Ask Sonny Anything, and I think you can see that on Facebook, and it actually has the mechanics to where you can write in and ask him anything that you'd like to ask him. So maybe Bud should ask him, write in and ask him how he's doing, because I haven't seen Sonny. I haven't seen Sonny in several years.
See, I'm the same way, and I know his blog you're talking about. You can go read old blogs over at Bluegrass Today, and
that's where it's at.
Yeah, that right there you can read. There's probably somewhere in there somebody's asked about his health and stuff, but old buddy, I think me and you, I think you've answered all the questions. And buddy, I appreciate you coming in tonight. You don't know what a big deal this is for me to get you, and for the people that's tuned in tonight. I mean, we've got a lot of people that's been online tonight watching me, and I'm gonna figure out somehow. I'm not real computer literate, and I want to learn a little bit more about maybe starting to do this through Zoom or something like that, where everybody can see everybody, but they sure can hear you tonight.
Well, just for the record, I did take a bath today and put on a clean shirt. I was hoping to get to use them, but I guess that was all in vain.
Well, what you do as soon as we're done, you take them off and go hang them up and use them tomorrow.
Absolutely right. It's the bluegrass way.
That's exactly. I'll let you go, but it's great having you tonight, Charlie. And I've got a few more minutes on my show, so I'm gonna let you zip on out, and hope we can do this again sometime. We've all learned a lot talking to you.
Well, Phil, I appreciate it so much that you'd invite me to do it, and I'll be keeping up with you as usual on social media, and I want to thank everybody too for listening in, and like Bill Monroe used to sing, y'all come see us, and we'd love to see you and hope to get to see you out on the music scene.
Same here.
This year, and once again, Phil, thank you so much.
Same here, buddy. Appreciate your time, and you have a good night, bud. Okay.
All right, bud. You too. Take care of yourself.
See you now. Bye bye.
Okay.
All right.
Bye bye.
Let me get disconnected here. All right, there we go. Well, I hope you've enjoyed getting to hear Charlie talk a little bit about things that things that he's done, what he's doing, and stuff like that. I mean, Charlie is one of these guys that, and bluegrass in general is like this. There's no big superstars in this music. Everybody is so approachable, and that's why I like playing it. And Charlie's one of those guys that's just it's so approachable. Same with all the Earls of Leicester, and all the musicians out there. Now I know probably years ago it was probably a little different than it is now, but now it's just or maybe it's because it's in my generation that I think like that. But I'm sure they were all good and friendly back then too. But right now it's just it's a real good brotherhood of musicians. And anyway, before I get out of here tonight, I always try to say something inspirational. I'm not a preacher or nothing like that, of course. Sure don't want to be because I mentioned on Facebook earlier tonight that I had a preacher friend say the most dangerous job that most people or an occupation could do is to be in the pulpit of a church and be uninformed. And I thought about that a lot, and that makes a lot of sense. If you don't know your Bible and you're up in a pulpit trying to preach a message and you don't really understand it, you can send a lot of people down the wrong road. And a couple of my pastors, we've talked about that we go to some different churches because I'm always looking, or we're always looking for a place that really we can feel the presence of the Lord there. And it's funny, so many churches here lately that we've been to, we just don't feel that. But I've been to a few that the pastor would mesmerize us just, but the sermon and everything. And we had one that I always said he was like listening to Alison Krauss sing. He drew you in. And the thing about it, he was the one that had said that most dangerous place to be is in the pulpit if you don't know and aren't prepared and don't understand what you're saying or what you're talking about. So, I mentioned on Facebook earlier tonight, and I'm a musician, but it's kind of with me. Seems like the churches nowadays. I remember the days of having a choir. And they would sing, and then the pastor would preach. And so many churches these days, it seems like you go in and it's like a rock show. They've got all this different music going on and lights and all that stuff. And then the pastor is there 10 minutes at the end to pass a collection plate. And I like to go somewhere where I can hear the message and hear the sermon. And I don't know how I got off on that. I think it's just because it's been on my mind that, how important it is to, you got, music's a big thing. Don't get me wrong, and I know it motivates people. And I play a lot of churches, so I'm not going to dog that. But I just think, when you do that, churches we played as a band, we would travel a little ways only to do 4 or 5 songs, and I've done big mega churches where we've only done a couple of songs, and the preacher would preach. So that's just something to do with what inspires me and things like that. And I don't get inspired super easily, but when I hear certain things that trigger my attention, I want to hear more. And but when I want to hear more, I want to hear stuff, as I mentioned, that's correct. When somebody reads the Bible, I want to be out there listening to somebody that knows what they're talking about and knows where it's coming from. And that's what I kind of look for. And if I'm not telling you to leave your church or anything, but if you go around to a lot of churches like that I do, you'll know when you find the right one. And I have found the right one several times, and then the pastor will leave. And anyway, I enjoy going to different churches though when we do that, because you get to hear, different styles of preaching and stuff like that. But you also, I can pick them out real quick. The churches that I don't want to go back to. So anyway, you guys have a great week, and stay off the TVs and the internet, and don't let these politics get you down. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting on Facebook and running off and losing friends over politics. So don't do that. There's a button on there called a snooze for 30 days button, and I've had some really good friends I don't want to lose, but I can't stand to read so much, just every post, it seems like. So I snoozed a lot of people for 30 days. I've not snoozed any of you guys, or you wouldn't be able to get on tonight and watch. So anyway, I thank you for tuning in. We ran a little over tonight, but it was just great having Charlie Cushman. I don't know who I'm going to have next week, but I'll let you know in a couple of days. But it'll be somebody good that we have, and maybe another banjo player. But there's some other directions I may be going and split it up. So anyway, God bless you. Have a good night, and take care of yourself. And I will talk to you later. And I'm going to sign on out. See ya.